There's technology in F1?
There's a lot of technology,
I just
right?
thought it's a car and just drives around and you just race.
Oh
So-
man, Mustafa, you have much to learn, my friend.
I can see the passion you have for what you do today. But let me ask you,
Yeah.
which one do you like better, when you were acting or being the CEO today?
One of our engineers noticed that this antenna had like a little bit of ice like hanging off the bottom of it, and he went to pick it up. It was really heavy. And he actually, like, can I cut this open? So he opened it up, and the inside of the antenna actually had ice inside of it.
It's what? It's stop? What is that?
Oh man,
Cargo.
it's simple Formula One terminology for come in and get your tires replaced or any other tweaks to the car before you get back on the track.
Hello everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of SOTI TV. I'm delighted to be back on this episode, and with me, I've got our VP of Product Management, Oscar Rambaldini. Welcome, Oscar.
It's a pleasure to be here, Mustafa. You know, this is actually my first episode of SOTI TV, which is kind of shocking after so many that we've been doing. Very much looking forward to our opportunity to chat today.
What took you so long?
I don't know, man. I think I've been a little bit busy, but not to say you're not a busy guy too. So
Well, this is only my second, so I can understand.
There you go.
Yeah. And with us, we have Todd Greenwald from Heartland.
Mustafa, thanks so much for having me on the show. I know we were here a few months ago, and it was actually just one of our meetings we had together, and we started talking, and you showed us the studio, and I'm like a huge fan of SOTI TV. I've seen every episode, so I was really excited asked to say, hey, let's do this, and excited to be here to get to talk about what we work together on. So
That's awesome. And yeah, we're delighted to have you, and we'll get into a lot of the questions and what we want to talk about, the topics. But I got to ask you both one thing. What's up with the shirts, guys? I didn't get the memo.
Well, you know, I think it's important that with every episode of SOTI TV, we always do something a little bit interesting, you know, to jazz it up. And I thought, hey, both Todd and I are big F1 fans, so we can add a little bit of spice to this. And really, Formula One, the big thing is technology, right? Just like we live in a world of mobile technology where, you know, all the details matter, the hardware, the software coming together. And that's what we're all about, right, Todd?
correct. And the thing, I think the big correlation as well is like literally in a car, it could be a tenth of a second can win the race. It's the same thing when you get into using mobility technology, that every little second can count. And that's how, you know, we think there's a good correlation here between what we do together with, you know, with the SOTI platform and mobile workers.
That's good. Had I known or got the memo, I probably would have done something like this too. But I came all dressed up in a suit.
So Todd, tell us a little bit about yourself as our guest of honor today.
Well, hey, Oscar, it's been a journey, but it kind of goes back to when my father started the company in 1991. I was working actually for Second City.
Not
in
tech.
Chicago. Not in tech at all. I come from the entertainment business. So,
All right.
So audio production, I was in theater and film and all these other things. But my dad started working with building this company up, and it would be working with him during the day and working in the entertainment business at night. But there was, as things kind of developed, we started to build and. Basically got pulled more to go help him with this versus where I started my roots in, which was kind of the beginning of I think what we have today is I look at what I learned when I was at Second City and what the actors do, and I was actually in improvisation very beginning. My first improv teacher was Steve Carell, so when we were in that class,
Big names.
It was pretty cool. When we're in that class, though, there's a whole thing that all the actors do every time they go and get on stage in the production team, and it's called I Got Your Back. And that's basically those roots of that. That is a theme right around when we go on stage, we're going to make sure everybody looks good, and we're not going to put somebody up against each other to make you look bad, and I want you to succeed, right? I took those same roots as I took on the leadership role of Heartland. To basically use that with our culture and our people, but that's even a little bit deeper. It's even down to our partners like SOTI, and especially even with our friends, you know, with our customers that we serve every day. So we're very big about I got your back.
I love that. Like it's
culture.
just a really strong way to kind of form the basis of, you know, why do we operate as a company, right?
Right. So it's different, but at the same time, if any of my team, we ever say, hey, I got your back,
Yeah.
I'm going to help you with this, right? We all know exactly what that means. And it's actually spilled over into our customers, and even some of our partners like yourself know some of my background, but I'm just very passionate about that.
No, so that's a little bit about sort of the background, but for our audience, maybe can you help them understand better, what does your company do? Like what, how do you help your customers?
Yeah, so one of the things we spent a lot of time doing is being focused on specific industries that we serve well. And the ones that we deal with are some of the more rugged and most unattractive spaces to be, whether it's in food processing, frozen storage, cold storage environments. These are like negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Different types of trucking companies, so moving products and things like that around. The key thing that we've kind of zoned in on around this type of technology is around really the theme of how we can help make these workers more efficient. And there's technology that we have every day that our customers use in the workers' hands. There's different networks, things that they need. So we help with all that stuff. But the most important thing, I think, is some of the platforms and the services that we provide. So everything from like wireless networking in the warehouse in particular, and in truck yards is like critical that it is up and running. So mobile technology doesn't skip a beat. So we have a wide range of services around design and implementation, troubleshooting, and making that get tuned just right, just kind of like a car. You got to get it all dialed in, so this car is ready for the track. So when your network is running well, then you can have devices that are, we use a lot of devices that are rugged, heavy-duty environments for the environments that we serve for our customers. But devices that are like really built to get the job done. In a trucking world, if I'm on a semi-truck and I'm going down the road, my technology has to work. If it breaks, I drop it, and I'm 500 miles away from home base, my whole day just kind of stopped, right?
Right.
So that's a very big thing, is we're making sure that we work with our customers to find the technology to put in their hand, or on the forklift, like a device like this guy here. But these are devices that are really meant to kind of make sure the workers are done, or getting the job done. But the other part is on an environmental factor. What is the right format, but what's going to last in this environment? So in food processing, we need to hose these things down and clean them with cleaners. In hospitals, we need to have different heavy-duty cleaners to make sure this thing is sterile, right? But for Heartland, we kind of help not only think of that part first, but then the other component would be what are the things that we need behind the scenes after we pick the right tool for the worker? How do we deploy it? But then most important, how do we support it afterwards? And
yeah, so Todd, like you've covered a lot about the kind of the things you do, and reality is there's always competitors and the other guys out there that do similar things.
Right.
But if you could call out maybe one or two things, how would you really say you kind of distinguish yourself from others in the industry?
No, we work. One thing I really pride our team in is it is about our people. That is one of our key elements of what we do, and we really spend a lot of time doing training. Some of that's together with our friends at SOTI, some of our other partners in the industry, but making sure we know this product better than anybody, inside and out, whether it's the device, the software, the environment, whatnot. So, but we spend a lot of time with our people to make sure they're like truly like industry experts on that platform. So, but the most important thing is then how do we work towards making an impact for the customer? So,
Right.
So not only do we need to stand by their side every day on not only deploying the software, or the environment of what we're doing and the solutions, right? But the second part would be like, well, how are we going to be there when it goes bump at night? And one thing we are kind of working towards is taking it to a deeper level. We can talk about this in a little bit about some of the tools that SOTI has that we use every day as our go-tos.
Todd, like that's quite interesting. And you and I have worked for nearly 10 years, and I can see the passion you have for what you do today. I see the passion for the organization, for the people, for the partnership, for customers. But let me ask you, Which one do you like better, when you were acting or being the CEO today?
Oh, jeez. I think, interestingly enough, there's probably a correlation there a little bit, right? So being a leader, staying on point, similar to being on stage, I got to do my lines, I got to do right, present right, and it really reflects, it works together well as being a CEO. And I feel like part-time being a CEO is a little bit of acting sometimes of, how am I going to communicate this? What's the story? What's the theme of what we're trying to say right now?
Sure, but which one did you like?
And I feel like the CEO is actually really enjoyable to see the impact you can make on people every day. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
So you like being the CEO better than
I do. I mean,
that is a good answer, because your people will be watching.
So let's go back to that example you kind of touched upon a little bit about, hey, you have a customer, you've got a big warehouse environment, and you think there's access points covering off everywhere, but the workers are experiencing something different. So how do we, utilize, that sort of knowledge of what's possible now?
Right. Well, here's the issue for as long as I can remember doing this, and both of you have been doing this for a long time too, right? Like I mentioned, the worker that, I'm going to call him Super Dave because that's the name we usually give him, right? So for Super Dave might be in the back of that corner of their warehouse, and he knows this is a bad area. And whenever I go scan and do my transaction, right? I'm going to pull this pallet off the shelf in this case, or off the rack, right? When I go to do that, it didn't scan. I'm like, and all of a sudden my software is kind of like glitched out. It's like, just like in the car when we're driving down the highway, with our maps, all of a sudden, I don't know where I'm going. So in the worker's case, he doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't know if that transaction went through or not. Right. And this is a issue that's been going on forever, where someone will complain about something, but we can't ever go back in time, right? We don't know around 1 o'clock, this is when this happened.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Well, how do we know what was going on at 1 o'clock?
And if Super Dave isn't calling to complain, this goes unresolved,
correct.
Right?
And Super Dave gets exhausted sometimes of like saying it over and over, and he's like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
So
he'll just avoid the problem.
So one of the things we call it is suffering in silence, right? So these workers are suffering in silence. They brought things up. The network team thinks it's great. The production team says it doesn't. Sometimes I've almost seen them want to jump over the table with each other, but that's a whole nother story.
And I think you've explained it really well in terms of how they interpret it, right? Which is exactly why we brought SOTI XSight to the market, right? Because SOTI XSight is that powerful view that sort of allows this different perspective, right? Allows somebody who is a little bit removed,
right.
The IT administrator, he's not on the floor of the warehouse, all of a sudden he has visualization to the network connectivity of those devices, and things that are like they don't really understand when you're on the floor. Something's going wrong, but I don't understand why. All of a sudden you can understand why when you see it through something like the XSight console.
So I'm going to tie it together very quickly just with Formula One, right? They have a mission control center that monitors everything in the car.
Yeah.
They know every step, every way. When they were around this corner, this happens, right? Just like that, this is where XSight is a game changer, guys. I mean, come on.
There's technology in F1?
There's a lot of technology,
I
right?
just thought it's a car and just drives around and you just race.
Oh, man. Mustafa, you have much to learn, my friend.
Is it even a sport?
Oh boy, now that one's under the belt.
I'm just serious. Like, if it is, then I might be a great sports guy. I drive all the time.
Oh man.
We'll get you on the track soon enough, so don't worry about it.
I think you just need a track day, and then you'll know that it's a sport.
Something I learned.
So to bring it back, though, about mobile workers and the workforce out there, the frontline workers that are trying to get their job done, right? When we have situations, let's just go back to connectivity issues, right?
Yeah.
That would be one of like, how do we know that happened? Another example might be, maybe I have a device, I go to scan, and it didn't scan. I go to scan again, it didn't scan, and now I'm like I have to manually, well, if I'm in a cold storage environment, I have to take my glove off, and now I'm gonna maybe have to type in on this little keyboard, right?
I was gonna ask you, those keys look a little small.
Yeah, they're a little small, but they know how to work around it.
Okay.
There's different versions that our different partners have of different keyboards and different form factors, like this big guy, right? But when we do that, that's productivity killing time, right? Whenever we have workers doing something where it should be working, but this technology is not working. Well,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice to be able to go back and know, like, hey, we have a lot of problems with scanning problems. We have a lot of issues with like batteries that are like not getting through a whole shift, right?
Yep.
And this is where XSight, that platform, is like mission control for our Formula One team. Mustafa, we'll have to show you behind the scenes someday, but you know, not too long ago, I was behind the scenes at a race, and I got to go in that center, and it was like launching a rocket. I mean, it was every little component. And XSight, you know, I'm sorry, I geek out about this stuff. When I was there, I'm like, man, this is just like XSight.
Yeah.
We can get everything we need out of XSight, just like the Formula One team, right? With all the connectivity and sensors that our devices have in them these days. So
yeah, I think that's the
very
perfect
exciting
comparison. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to give that richness of information,
right?
Because that allows for data-driven decisions to be made, right? How do we optimize it? We need data to kind of actually understand the current situation, and having that data allows you to make the right move to you know, gain that performance.
Yeah, and if I may touch again on the cold storage, right? So you said you have got the workers that are actually operating these devices. Do they take the gloves out and actually punch?
They'll have, sometimes they even have like a second mitten kind of thing, and they'll have to take it off. They have thinner gloves that help keep their hands warm, and they have big parkas, and you know, they got to wear a helmet that has like a hat built into it. So it's kind of not the most.
Todd, I'm kind of curious. Like when you say cold storage, how cold is this storage?
I mean, some of them they have blast freezers that go to like -30 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yikes.
Where they're gonna freeze a pallet of chicken like immediately, right? And the workers are around those environments, but in general,
that is extreme.
It's very cold.
And the device still works there?
I know you Canadians love it, right? So, but it does work there, yeah. The thing that's interesting about the devices from these are, you know, we have Zebra and Honeywell. There's other players in the marketplace, but they have some very niche technology about screens that actually have like a heater in it. There's an element behind this screen, and on this where we're scanning on coming out this window. I have glasses on, and I was just, you know, in Toronto right now, right, and walked outside. It was cold. My glasses freeze up or get foggy, right? I can't really see. Just like the scanning, it needs to be able to see the barcode. So when I scan it, you know, basically, boom, it's got it, right? When it has something over like some frost or some condensation on this, it's gonna be like, you know, kind of hard to read. I'm kind of whatever messing around, but I can't read this barcode because it's kind of blurry. I can't really see. So the key thing is, like, you know, making sure that that technology's if you brought an iPhone or something like that, or a Samsung device into that environment, the battery will be dead within an hour. Another example is kind of around, you know, we talked about devices, but sometimes about the network infrastructure. And one of the things we find is our networking team might go try to dig into an issue that's been happening. And we found environmental issues. In cold, I talk about how cold it can be, right? They do have to take those cold environments down, clean them because they're dealing with food, and then they have to bring it back up, right? And we found a few situations, you know, over the years of doing this where we were trying to figure out why there's no connectivity. Like it's not working with our device that we use to basically monitor everything, to do our surveys, right? But we're also having connectivity issues with the device. So we actually had one of our engineers was dealing with a problem where they actually noticed that this antenna had like a little bit of ice like hanging off the bottom of it, and he went to pick it up. It was really heavy, and he actually like, can I cut this open? So he opened it up, and there was condensation over a period of time that it would build, and then it would freeze because they have to freeze the warehouse again, and over keeps building up and more. And the inside of the antenna actually had ice inside of it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It
was an icicle.
It was an icicle. Unfortunately, that icicle caused a lot of impact on the workers, right? So that was a problem in this warehouse for a long time. Even like forklifts hitting an access point, right? So the point of this thing is you could have the best technology here, but if we have just environmental issues like this, right? They're also in truck yards. We can have access points that might be on a light pole.
Right.
They get hit with lightning, right?
And you know,
So how
these
do you
these
know?
issues with these access points, you know, it dovetails really nicely in how in XSight version 2026, we now have the ability to position your access points on a floor plan and then be able to see exactly how that access point is providing service to the mobile devices. So, you know, through colorization of the map, you know, a heat map or heat tracking, you can actually see where the devices are getting good connectivity, when they're getting poor connectivity. If you say, wait a second, they're really close to an access point, they should have great connectivity, but it just got knocked off by a forklift.
Right. So
hey, we got a you know, a lead as to how we can solve this problem.
And that's the best thing, is that we actually know what's going on. We can be proactive and get in front of it versus, you know, situations where we've literally seen things where, like someone said, this has been going on for years. We don't know what's happening, right?
Right.
So let's get in front of that and let's correct that. And now let's monitor, right? So monitoring is the next thing.
You know, I think for those workers, they think it's a mystery, right? But it doesn't have to be a mystery, right? It's just take the veil off and just say, hey, that's the problem.
And the issue with those frontline workers is they're really just trying to get their job done, right? They don't really know the technology. That's not what they're experts at. They're good at like picking and getting things done or loading up a truck or whatever it might be.
And they're in a hurry.
I know. And they're graded on performance, right? So when things slow them down, they get very frustrated. And one of the byproducts of that, unfortunately, is if you talk to a customer about high turnover rate, maybe you should look at the technology and how it's working, because they literally will be rewarded for doing good. They will be they'll be deterred by making less money sometimes, right? For not hitting the mark. And it's not always their fault, and that's what we're here for, is to make them successful as well. So
for sure. Going back, I got your back.
It's exactly it. Exactly. So.
Good deal.
But speaking of the devices, we know the two industry leaders, Honeywell and Zebra.
Yeah.
Do you also work with some other OEMs and some other manufacturers?
There's other brands that are out there. Heartland, our approach is we work towards standards. That's something we really work closely with our customers on too. We need to have standards across your platform, right, as your business that you're running.
Right.
Part of that would be the hardware. Let's have the same thing, and we need to make sure it's the proven devices that are out there that are built for the environments, that have been tested for the environments, and they have longevity, that have been doing this for a long time. I know, Mustafa, you support other things, right? But the focus we do is to stay focused on things that are trusted devices, things that are trusted different technologies.
Well, I mean, for us, there's no doubt, Todd, the market leaders in terms of market share are definitely Honeywell and Zebra.
Yeah.
And they're good partners. However, I will push back a little bit. I know you want to standardize.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the customer's choice. The reason we support many OEMs is because our customers are demanding for us to support those OEMs.
Right.
So in your environment or in your operations, you have standardized, but what if one of our giant customers comes and says, I want a different device?
So we do have that happen.
And so what do? You just say no?
Sometimes we say we're not going to support that platform, you know, because it's just too, some of these are just, when you want to be experts at supporting, we don't want to have like 500 different things that we want to be experts at. So
are you walking away from business when
there
the
are
customers?
times that we do walk away and we're not going to be involved. We may try to say, I understand you use this, but let's show you something else. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we do always have that problem, or it doesn't always last a whole shift or whatnot, but we do walk away at times.
Yeah, well, you know what, I commend that, right? Like, it's that strength of knowing, hey, this is what we're good at, and this is how we can perform to our best. And you can't say yes to everything, right? If you really want to be the best at something.
And I go back to not too long ago, we were with a customer talking about some strategy that we're working with them, and they had one of their procurement team members that said, you know, I know we have different things in different parts of the world, but it's not always about if it's cheaper. Like, cheaper is good, and this is the procurement person, but he's like, it's really about ROI to me. And it was interesting to hear someone that is worried about financing, or finances, right, about how much is the solution going to cost. But a lot of our customers are pretty mature to say, we know at the end of the day, we need to have something that's going to be the right thing, that's going to actually make an impact on the business. So it's you know, we educate, we spend time about SOTI too, right? This isn't necessarily the cheapest solution in the world.
No.
By any
we like
means.
to say the best.
But it's the best solution, right?
Yes.
And when we get into, go back to XSight, right? The things you can do with that platform, about the most important thing, which is really the culprit, is about connectivity. And how do we know where in the warehouse that device might have dropped?
Yeah.
Or what's the levels like? Is it maybe a certain time of the day? We deal with manufacturers that they might run very big machinery, or one of them was they make office furniture, so they use this type of technology to bake paint. It's like a powder coating paint kind of, bake it onto the metal, right? Whenever those would turn on, devices would start flaking out and they'd have problems, right? So how do we know what's going on? When is it happening?
Yeah.
We come in, we can do deep dives with our network engineers to understand noise and the environment, but how do we know when that kind of happens, and is it affecting the device? And
For sure.
So anyways, going back to XSight, that's an important one. But,
so earlier on, like we talked a little bit about cold storage, extreme environment, right? Challenges that are very much environmental.
We would not want to really be in there very long for you and I, so especially with our shirts on today. So.
Yeah, I'm really comfortable with the short sleeves. Definitely don't want a parka right now. But you mentioned TNLs, another big industry, like big truck yards, but it's also these trucks going large distances. Like I take it, your customers are coast to coast, right?
Correct, and all over the globe, really. So.
And are you guys providing like MSP-like services? Like if a device is in Arkansas and having a problem, or maybe it's the driver who's having a problem. But how do you guys help out in those kinds of situations?
Yeah, so the driver, just like correlation to the warehouse, the forklift guy, right? That's driving his forklift around. He's trying to get his job done. The driver's there to move these goods from point A to point B, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's from different cross-docking locations, maybe it's even getting things out to stores. We serve the beer industry and spirits industry, right? So how do we get beer to the store? And when they're out there driving, they want to focus on driving, right?
Yep.
But when things aren't working right, that's why Heartland's here. So we'll work together with sometimes the driver, sometimes in correlation with the IT team. Okay. Device all of a sudden stopped working. That's where we can use Mobi Control platform to remotely maybe look at the device, figure out what's going on, maybe even do a reboot, maybe even look at the screen while the worker's trying to explain, like, I don't know, it's just doing this and I can't, it's not letting me go enter and go to the next screen or whatever it might be. But we can see remotely, real time, what's happening, and then make an adjustment, or just like in the Formula One car, we got to tweak something, and while the guy's on the road, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, we got to keep that truck moving. Literally, things like that can be a huge disruption. There's SLAs, windows for going into a warehouse environment. They have a time. You need to be here at 11:22, right? And that's the time that you're allowed to come check in. Okay. So hitting those windows are very important. If something's slowing them down, that can be a deal killer for the day for that worker. But yeah, helping those individuals is tough because they're not always the most technical, which is fine. But that's why we're here. We're here to help kind of guide them.
So you do get work with the end user, so that truck driver will actually call Heartland, not their own company?
Yes, they will contact us. A lot of times our customers want us to just be the point for these types of initial calls. Mm-hmm. We keep them in the loop on the tickets and the things that are going on, right, about the issues. But we do have them contacting us directly. So,
isn't that like too many calls, too many tickets coming your way?
Well, there's a lot. It keeps us very busy, but that's what our job is, right? So. At the end of the day, there's also proactive things we do too, though. And we're watching for maybe things that are happening with the devices. We might know that there's a known issue for maybe the wireless radio or the carrier radio that's in the device. So we might say, well, at 11 o'clock tonight, we're going to push this new update that our partner, the manufacturer, or Android might have come out with to fix this problem. So we'll kind of stage that and wait till off hours or when it's a little bit quieter to do a rollout, and we push that out using Mobi Control to push out an update. So just be proactive.
Mustafa made the point. It was like, hey, it's like maybe too many calls, but that's exactly why Heartland has the tool set that SOTI provides, right? So that you can resolve those issues really quickly, right? So it's like that car's coming in for a pit stop. You want to get it turned around as fast as possible, right? So it's just really about the efficiency and having those, remote control, remote visualization, remote actions, is helping you resolve that quickly, right?
And maybe to bring it back to our maybe to bring it back to our truck driver friend, right? So he's out on the road, he can't find his device, right? It's like I went to the dock, I went to pull my pallets, right? But how do we maybe help that worker or maybe left it on the fender of his truck and he drove away and it's like on the side of the road, right? So we have been using the platform with the SOTI platform to be able to even locate devices, which when I don't have a device now, I'm really in trouble, right? I mean, but we can use the SOTI platform to kind of dig in and say, it's actually at the intersection of Williamton and King Street or something or whatever. So so we can actually say, why don't you go back over that way?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, maybe
on the side of the road.
And then we can locate it with with cellular networks, things like that. We can do some really great.
That's awesome. But you had me lost at pit stop? What is that?
Oh man, come on.
Pit stop is on the highway. I go like I'm going from here to Chicago.
It's simple Formula One terminology for come in and get your tires replaced or any other tweaks to the car before you get back on the track.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There you go. Man,
Mustafa,
as I said, lots to learn.
Lots to learn.
I mean, I don't know. Like I know bullpen and baseball, pit stop. Okay, it's good.
Good. So when we look at sort of the future outlook, what's got you excited, Todd? Like we go back. You and I have been in the industry for years, right? We've seen everything from operating systems change, form factors evolves. What has you really excited about what's coming up?
I think with all the great solutions and technologies out there, even with respect to what our customers are asking for, what they need, the SLAs, the level of support, the level of delivery, all these things that are going on are exciting because it means there's like no time ever that we even need to get better and bring insights, right?
Sure.
So I, obviously AI, that's a huge thing, right? Data, there's mass amounts of data. That is a good thing and a bad thing, right? So if I know every little thing about the drops and the everything in a device like this, or even on a network, that we're struggling, we have a problem with signal, or that's all great stuff. But how do we start to bring it to like one pane of glass? That's where it's really starting to come together. Not only with what SOTI's doing, but even some of our partners that we work with really closely. It's really exciting to see the abilities of what we can do now with.
Yeah, one thing I would say is mission critical mobility is exploding and it's going to continue to explode. Right. However, if we step back a little bit, that mission critical mobility is dependent on a device,
right?
Especially on a rugged device,
right?
And with all the tariffs that's going on, all the cost of devices going up, expecting the end customer to pay more. We are lucky we're not in the hardware business or in that supply chain of hardware. You are. Yeah. You're literally in the heartland of rugged devices. How is the tariff going to impact this great explosion of mobility that we all anticipate, but the cost of the device may go higher?
And it has been happening, unfortunately, right? Hopefully, maybe these are phases, we don't know, but this has happened before in the history, right? But we still know our customers they still have to invest. We've had customers that working actively with right now that they've been trying to string it out and draw it out a little longer, right? But they got to do something, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's looking at different ways of financing the device, right? Our customers are leaning on like different financing kind of methods, like leasing programs, things like that. So let's give it a predictable cost, put the whole solution on there, put Heartland services on there, and it's just one kind of monthly predictable bill.
Okay.
Versus are we worried about the price? Yes, they should be cost conscious, right? But don't
you think that it will go back, Todd, to some of the devices that are good enough, rugged devices that are good enough that probably are half the price? They also have the tariff. We know some of them are willing to eat the tariff.
Right.
We work with some of the OEMs and their messaging out to the US customers are, don't worry, we will eat the tariff. You don't have to pay for it because they want to gain that market share.
You got some good partners right here that have been kind of doing that I was talking about, Honeywell, Zebra, and there's others, you know, that are out there that we all work together with, but they have been doing that. And even leading up to this point where we're at right now, some of them try not to even make price changes until now, like we have to do something, right? They're also looking at how they're sourcing differently too. You know, they're going to different parts of the globe,
right.
Trying to bring things within maybe more of a regional level. So they have been working on doing that, and that has kind of helped control some of it, but it's a little bit erratic too sometimes. We don't always know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, it's a business tool, and you know, this is not just for this world, it's for robotics and for data centers, and there's challenges that they're coming up on even chipsets, like for processors and memory right now, because AI is really taking a big kind of chokehold on the supply chain of like trying to get all the chips and semiconductors it can. So, so there's always going to be challenges, but that's what we're here to do, is kind of make it as smooth as possible. So.
All right, it looks like we're approaching the finish line on yet another episode of SOTI TV. Todd, I want to thank you again for coming and spending this time with us. It's been a really wonderful conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot about the environment.
And hopefully we caught this guy a little bit about Formula One, so I don't know. So
a little bit.
A little bit. Still much to learn. But so Todd, you know, for our audience, if they want to get to know a little bit more about Heartland and your services, how is it best for them to contact?
Yeah, I mean, easy to jump on come check us out on our website, obviously. We do quite a bit on LinkedIn about different things we're doing, right? We do a big customer event every year, but one thing we keep pretty active on, and even, you know, friends here at SOTI have been in my podcast, which I do for Heartland. It's called Optech Insights. So you can tune into any platform on that to check us out about what different thought leaders we're bringing on and talking. You know, out of anything, you know, just, you know, feel free to reach out, and you know, we're more than happy to spend a little bit of time with different types of customers that might not know us very well. So
awesome. All right, thank you, and Mustafa, thank you for having me on today as this, you know, the rookie on SOTI TV.
You did good. Like, yeah,
good. Maybe I'll be back.
Maybe.
All right. Well, that,
I'm going to make sure you get back in the seat again. So.
There we go. All right, the driver's seat.
Exactly.
All right, let's wrap this up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And while you're at it, drop a few comments. We love to hear your feedback about what you want to see in future episodes. And with that, we'll see you next time.
And with me, I've got our VP of Products. Sorry.
Yep.
I
didn't say share.
You next time.
Okay. I didn't say share. Okay.
Like, share, like,
subscribe,
share.
Why am I having to? And with that, let's close this off. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the SOTI podcast. We look forward to you join us in future episodes. And why do I always stumble on this?